Hey, this is Fred from North 40 Fly Shop in Great Falls, Montana. Today I'm tying a little streamer pattern I call the Bam Bam. We're going to start out with a 90-degree jig hook. This is a number 2 904F NU hook. And I've got on the end of it a little Cyclops bead. It's a 1/8 inch copper bead. We'll lay down our thread base. And we'll bring that to the rear tying point and then right back up. And the placement for my eyes is going to be just a little, roughly a half of a bead width behind the bead. So I'm going to leave myself a little bit of space. Secure these eyes in. These happen to be real eyes. Either the real eyes or the Fly Project squatchy dumbbells work great. And I like the red eyes with the black pupil. Those are locked in. And I always like to make sure they're square before we continue on. So the first layer of material, our tail, this is mini barred Marabou from MFC, and this is the tan barred black. Absolutely love this stuff. Just got a great look, nice and wispy, makes a fantastic tail. And I want that tail to be at least an inch, maybe a little more than an inch long off the rear tying point there. And I just go right over the Marabou up near the eyes and then just tie it all down until I get to my tail point. And then the forward fluff, I'm just going to take a little twist, chop that off. So there we have our beautiful barred tail. Then our next material is UV polar chenille, and this is the olive brown UV. This adds just a little bit of flash, a little bit of UV. It's just a great material. Just going to get a little tag worked in there. Then we're going to palmer this up to the eyes. I like to use my bobbin cradle and go ahead and take advantage of the rotary vise. I want to get my first turn right at my tie-in point, get that all the way around, and then I like to give it a little tug, make sure it's getting planted. And then as I wrap this up, I'm not going to wrap a super dense body. I'm even going to gap it just a little bit. I don't want this body to be too dense. I want it sparse. I just want a little bit of that polar chenille spiking out. We're going to take that right up to the eyes. Tie her off. And that looks good. And then to polish off this fly, the head is Arizona Simi Seal, and this is the Canadian olive color. And I want a really sparse little dubbing brush that I'm going to make, and I've just cut myself a little piece of paper 3 inches long, and I'm going to use that to kind of spread my dubbing out on. So I'm just going to kind of lay that in right on top of the card, and then I'm going to make my dubbing loop. Grab my tool. And then I can just literally pick up this little paper card, just stick it right in between the thread, grab the dubbing, and then just work it right off. And that way my volume is right where I want it to be. I don't want this to be dense, I want it to be fairly sparse. I'm going to spin that a little bit. I'm not going to spin it real tightly, and then I'm going to come through and I'm going to spread it out a little bit. Once I've got it loose, I'm going to spin a little more just to tighten up the hold in there. And then I'm going to get a few turns behind the eyes, about 3 there, and then I'm going to begin to figure 8. So we'll do a figure 8, and then I'm going to finish with a couple turns right in there behind the bead. One nice thing about throwing this bead on the 90-degree hook is it just pushes right up into the bend there, and when you finish off this fly, you end up with a nice clean head. You're not fighting the elbow of that hook for your tie-off point. And that copper bead just seems to add a little bit of attractiveness to this pattern. So I'm just going to do a couple turns to whip that off, and then I usually like to just do a little tiny zap-a-gap on my thread. Just tack it in there, then let's grab our bodkin and we'll finish that. The thread's protected behind the bead, so we don't really have to worry about it too much. And then all we need is a little bit of brushing. Just kind of blend that out, get the shape where you want it. And there we go, we've got the Bam Bam. The acronym BAM stands for Bad Ass Minnow, and since just calling it the BAM was a little short, we're calling it the Bam Bam. This fly has been quite a cleaner on some heavily fished runs on the Missouri River for me here in Montana. Hope you like it. Tie some up. You can find all the materials at north40flyshop.com. Tight lines.